their families. And if we go that direction, Honorable Speaker, then this House will be seen to have teeth to bite. Otherwise, we will continue talking, and at the end of the day, we will never change this country. It will be a country where people see public resources as resources for misdirection, resources for misappropriation, and resources to be stolen. And I don't think that's the Kenya we want, Honorable Speaker. With those many remarks, I want once more, Honorable Speaker, to thank the chair of the committee and the membership for this good effort. But now we must make sure that your recommendations, Chair, and your team are implemented. And I think you need to be on the neck of the chair of the implementation committee so that these recommendations are implemented. I support, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Member for Kirinyaga.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the committee findings, and in specific, I want to narrow down to the Alcoholic Drinks Control Fund for the financial year 2017-2018. Honorable Speaker, it is quite unfortunate, and my county is one of the most affected counties by alcohol and sale of proliferated alcohol. Honorable Speaker, it is very important for us to ensure that this fund is also invested for rehabilitation of persons who are affected by alcohol. It goes without saying that health is now a devolved unit, but the county governments are not able to shoulder this issue of rehabilitation alone. The national government must ensure that this fund, the investment of these funds, and I can see that the committee has reported that 700 million was invested in treasury bills, but there is no proper record of the breakdown of where the accrued benefits went to or were applied to. So it is therefore important we ensure that this fund is applied to ensure we have rehabilitation centers in all our 47 counties, because we must cater for the issues that plague us as at now. And I want to commend the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, for his very spirited fight against illicit brews and second-generation alcohol. But as we fight to ensure we save the next generation, what about those who have already been lost to abuse of alcohol in this nation, Honorable Speaker? We must ensure that we also salvage them and try to mitigate the effects of the long-term usage of alcohol. I therefore support this, and I urge the committee to ensure that this report does not die here on the floor of the August House. Let us have an accountability perspective of where the 700 million and the profits from the same were applied to, and they must be plowed back as CSR to communities that are affected by alcohol in this country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Marakwet West, Honorable Timothy.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to contribute on this very important report of the Auditor General. Honorable Speaker, I wish to thank the Chair of the Committee, my friend Honorable Amina Mohammed, for the good work that she has done as the Chair of the Committee. Honorable Speaker, the issue to do with alcoholic drinks in this country, initially it was under the national government. The famous Utudo law was passed in the year 2010. Honorable Speaker, at that particular time, the National Campaign Against Drug Abuse Authority was under the national government. But pursuant to the promulgation of the new Constitution 2010, that particular function was transferred to the county governments because health became a fully devolved function, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, now what is happening in the county governments is that each county government, because that function is devolved, has passed a legislation to suit a particular county. And Honorable Speaker, the challenge now is that we have 47 different legislations regulating the use of alcoholic drinks in this country. Honorable Speaker, it is something that we need to rethink as a country, because it even becomes a challenge in terms of audit by the Committee on Special Funds, because it questions or it brings issues in terms of jurisdiction, whether a committee of this House can be able to check the excesses in terms of the legislation of the county government and can be able to audit a function that is devolved. And it becomes a big challenge. Honorable Speaker, in various counties are raising funds pursuant to the legislation they passed. There are formed committees on alcoholic drinks at the county level. But, Chair, we need to relook, because can this committee of this House on special funds be able to relook at whether the funds raised by the county governments meet the needs of the people in those counties? Honorable Speaker, because I have a challenge. If you look at this report, this special funds committee, unless I'm advised, is not able to ascertain, to audit the funds that are channeled through the county government. Because what's happening now is that the county governments have formed committees and subcommittees to issue licenses to regulate the issue of alcoholic drinks in the counties. Honorable Speaker, now the question of devolution and the question of the function of the county governments in auditing these funds comes into question. Honorable Speaker, we need to look at a way so that the funds raised by the county governments through licensing can be able to rehabilitate those people who are using alcohol and to their detriment has affected them in one way or the other. So, Honorable Speaker, I support this report, but as a country, we need to relook at the legal framework. We need to relook at the architecture of devolving health, because the biggest challenge is we have devolved the county government, they are raising funds, but are those funds meeting the required needs, and are those funds used properly in terms of even establishing rehabilitation centers at the county level? So, Honorable Speaker, I support the report, but majorly, I still reiterate that the issue to do with alcoholic drinks and the issue to do with National Campaign Against Drug Abuse Authority should be returned to the national government so that we have one autonomous body regulating the use of alcoholic drinks in this country. Honorable Speaker, it is apparently clear on the face of record that county governments have been unable. That is why you see the fight against alcoholic drinks in this country by the national government, because it is apparently clear on the face of record that the county governments have not been able to properly regulate, to license alcoholic drinks at the county level. Honorable Speaker, this function, in my own opinion, should be taken back to the national government. Let us have one autonomous authority regulating the issuance of licenses, regulating the issuance of registration of bars in this country and other drinking joints. Honorable Speaker, it is clear that the county government has failed on this mandate and this function, particularly on the National Campaign Against Drug Abuse. That authority, which was taken to the county government or which lapsed because of devolution, should be taken back to the national government so that the national government becomes autonomous in terms of regulating alcoholic drinks in this country. Honorable Speaker, I rise to support this report.
Very well. Member for Narok North, Honorable Agnes Pareyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support the report on the special funds. And as the other members have said, it is interesting to see that when you go back to our constituencies, most of our youth are finished. And they are in between the county government and the national government. This is because the county governments issue the licenses, and then as a result, you find that most of our youth are now involved in the drinking of the illicit brews, And this youth will end up dying, and we shall not have a generation that will come back and inherit this land if we don't take care of it. So I'm saying I support the report, and I also want the involvement to be either in the national government or totally go to the county governments. Because when we go fighting these illicit brews, the community says the government issues the licenses, but they don't care what happens to the people after they have issued their licenses. So for me, I support the report, and these special funds must be seen to go back to the people so that we detention centers where we can take our children or our women, because we find that even women are now involved in the drinking. So for me, I support the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Nyamira, Honorable Jerusha.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity so that I can also support this report. Indeed, as my fellow colleagues have said, when we go down to our constituencies, most of our young generation have totally been destroyed simply because the alcoholic drinks, which are now rampant all over, do not have a central place where even those people who are able to identify those people who are giving out the illicit brew, there is no central place where the reports go, because the county governments, they have on one hand, they are controlling, and the national government on the other hand. So when we say that health is devolved and some issues are not properly outlined on how they should be dealt with, then we put our communities in a very awkward situation. That is why these days, if you look at what is happening, the way our young generation is indulging in alcoholism, it signifies that we as a country are not able to control and even to know how our youths are faring on. So I want to support this report, and I also want to urge this assembly of ours to make sure that we have a regulation which is going to cut across, so that it is cautioning every county on what they are supposed to do, specifically to those people who give out illicit brew, those people who give out licenses to even people who are not supposed to be licensed. So, Madam Speaker, I support, and I urge the committee to make sure that the report has been implemented so that we help our generation. The new generations which are coming, if we are not careful, we shall not have a country. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I see there is no more interest on this specific motion. Honorable Dick Maungu, you definitely had not put your interest. I'll give you a few minutes, then we'll go to the mover.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for granting me an opportunity to also add my voice on this important subject. Madam Speaker, as the former speakers have actually rightly noted, that alcoholism has been a subject of great concern to us as a country, and more so to the young generation, because we are losing a whole generation, Madam Speaker. And therefore, looking at these reports, and the way the report is geared towards ensuring that these special funds are protected, Madam Speaker, we have a concern at how the county governments have, for example, been able to watch over and even issue licenses to ensure that this kind of habit is controlled, Madam Speaker. Of great concern has been the haphazard way in which licenses have been issued in this country. And most of, Madam Speaker, we find that we have had illegal business taking place in this country, which is purported to have been licensed by the county governments, yet it is not, Madam Speaker. And therefore, the report on the report table before the House, to me, I want to agree with it and agree that we need to put sanity in how these funds are monitored. We need to put sanity in how we control even the licensing of this business, Madam Speaker. Recently, we had a great calamity in Kirinyaga when licenses were purported to have been issued by the county government. Crazy businessmen and women ended up importing or distributing illicit drinks which were licensed in quotes but were poisonous substances, Madam Speaker. In Rwanda, where I come from, Madam Speaker, I come from a constituency that is not so far from the border of Kenya and Uganda. And this border has been quite porous because we find that illicit drinks and substances have always been sneaked into the country through the Ugandan border to Kenya. And these things have found themselves in one or the other in my constituency, Madam Speaker. As a result, we have lost a big number of young people who end up being intoxicated by poisonous substances disguised as alcoholic drinks, Madam Speaker. And therefore, the report by the devolved committee that we need to relook at how these licenses are issued, Madam Speaker, is an issue that I support and I stand to support. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
For Makueni, Honorable Susan Kiamba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also wish to support this report, but I have quite some concern, Honorable Speaker. You realize that, like when we look at the slum upgrading program, that we have actually put a lot of resources and we've been trying to change the face of Kenya by upgrading houses. But you realize that we put a lot of input, but it's difficult to really touch and show what change are we bringing. Even it's very difficult to understand the lessons we are drawing from this slum upgrading. I see now we have moved to affordable housing. When we have the issues of slum upgrading, which we cannot tell clearly what changes we have actually brought to this country. So, Honorable Speaker, as we move forward, I'm of the opinion that let's not have a house that is actually a conveyor belt of people just having reports minted but does not deliver meaning to our citizens. So though I support this particular report, I think we need to be more critical, looking at where our money goes. And that's why you even find today Kenyans are very cold feet when it comes to affordable housing, because we put very nice names on what change we are going to see in this country, but the end result is just auditor reports that say much of figures, but the change we desire on ground cannot actually be seen. So I support this particular report, but I am of the opinion that let this House critically look at these reports. And actually, when you get reports many years after, you even wonder, what are we really auditing? If years pass by and you get a report that looks more of an historical issue than an intention to change this country. Honorable Speaker, I think this is an area where we need to change. And with these few contributions, I support. Thank you.
Honorable Marianne Keitani.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand to support this report. When we look at alcoholism in our country today, Madam Speaker, you realize that a lot of the barriers or blocks that had been put before are all gone. When I was growing up, Madam Speaker, alcohol was only sold to adults, and the only people who could go to a bar or hold a drink, and the community always checked on you, was adults. Us as young people would never touch a bottle of alcohol or take any alcohol at all. But today, the community has changed, and even our young kids, we know kids who are in school, in primary school, in secondary school, and are already engaging in alcohol and substance abuse. And these children live in our community. We watch them, and because our laws have changed, we don't have the communal care and protection that used to be there those days when I was growing up. A lot of this alcohol is from illicit brews. It is from alcohol that has been brewed at homes. In my home village, for example, we have so many illicit brews, and all these illicit brews, if you look at inside those containers, it will have all sorts of dirt, all sorts of dead snakes, dead things that are inside those particular contents or inside those containers. And you wonder, we as adults and young kids are taking those particular alcohols. The law or the county governments are the ones that are licensing bars. And I remember those days when we were young. There was no bar allowed to be opened near a school or near a homestead. Today, every door you walk outside your house, you either have a bar or you have a liquor store. So when you have all those things just right on our faces, what do you expect of the population, especially our young children? You will expect that they will actually go and try and consume that particular product that is easily available either in the next door bar or in the next door liquor store as they get out of their homes. So the drive to have these licenses controlled is a very good thing, and it's timely. And I think counties need to not only look at the licensing regime that they have at the county level, but also realize that alcohol and substance abuse is real, and therefore restrict the kind of and the number of places that can be given licenses, putting into consideration the schools nearby and the communities where these children and all these people are living, that alcohol sale should be actually in restricted areas, just like it used to be before, because that could help us limit the use of alcohol. Today's generation, Madam Chair, you realize that the generation is slowly deteriorating because they are mainly involved in alcohol and substance abuse, which is easily available and readily available for them. And therefore, when we move out of where we are now to them, to when they come in, who then will run our country? Who then will run the institutions if they are not responsible? So I support this report from the special committee, and I think that alcohol is something, and substance abuse is something that must be taken seriously, not only in the House, but at all levels of government, both at national, executive, and even the judiciary, because a lot of these cases go to the judiciary, and one of the things that happens at the judiciary is that they are given lenient fines or lenient bail terms, which then allows the same people to go back and have the same dens opened because they already have been given lenient judicial outcomes. So all arms of government, both judiciary, legislature, and the national government should actually come together in fighting this alcohol and substance abuse. I thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Member for Moyale, Honorable Guyo Jaldesa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wish to stand up to support the report on alcoholic drinks. And not only alcoholic drinks, this thing is actually consuming potential human beings. People can be useful in the society. People could be farmers. People could be contributing to the economy in many ways. Because of alcoholism, these people are just going down the drain and they are laying to waste. And for this reason, and for some of us who come from across the border, some of these drugs come from other countries. And very, very strong medication, drugs, alcohol, and even the leaves, the weeds, the banging, which is destroying a lot of young people, a lot of women, a lot of men. And we need to come up with a very strong concerted effort to make sure that these things will not continue to consume the population of this country. It is actually eating up our human power, that we cannot continue to produce not only young people, but even adults who are supposed to be responsible are just lying in the streets, showing very bad example. And we need to see the best way in which we can control the consumptions of these products. The licensing, as everybody has said, it is being consumed by everybody. It's sold everywhere. There's no regulation. And we need to see the best way in which we can control the consumptions of alcohol. I think things like, if instead of alcohol, especially the young people are given alternative ways of passing time. In the sports, it might be more beneficial to them. And we need to have not only some other time-consuming activities in every constituency, in every major town, so that we don't waste our youth just with alcohol and other drugs. With that, I support the motion, the report.
Thank you. Member for Isiolo South, Honorable Bidu. Bidu Tubi.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me this opportunity. I want also to contribute to the report. I want to support the report in the sense that, Madam Speaker, the problem of alcohol and drugs is a big issue in everywhere in the part of this country, including even our own area, some of these arid lands, which used to be having no problem of alcohol, now is creeping in. We don't know how these things come. We are packaged drinks are coming into everywhere, every corner of this country. Where they come from, we don't know. We don't exactly know. Whether these people are licensed, how they were licensed is something which the government seems to go deeper and see some of these things. Because it is like, where there is food which is supplied, then there is always alcohol which is also there. In every part of the country, I can tell you. I can tell you in my area mostly. Most of those areas were not used to have some of these drinks, alcohol and all these things. There is the issue of drugs, yes. The drugs comes across from every other, even across the country, from our neighboring countries. And then finds its way deep into Kenya. And the security system is there. But it looks as if it's being abetted by the security system. You cannot expect some of this, like the drugs, traveling all the way from the world border into the center of the country, that is my constituency, which is geographically in the center of the country. You just wonder how do these drugs find their way from there into these areas? And then alcohol itself also, traveling from Nairobi or where it's manufactured, going deep into those areas, arid and semi-arid lands. So it's becoming a disaster. The government has to do something about this thing. About how do we think we can save our young generations, men and women, all of them are now engaged in this menace. So we need to do something about some of these things, and I support the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Member for Kangema, Honorable Kihongi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I start to support the report. Madam Speaker, on the issue to do with alcohol, like us from Central Province, it has become now a manic or a disaster or a tragedy that has now is washing out. I think it's a big thing. I don't know how I can interpret it. Every family has a story of a person maybe we have lost, or a person who has become a zombie because of alcohol. And I think as it is important that the government now should come in seriously. I want to thank the President and His Excellency, the Deputy President, on the first step that they have taken right now, whereby they have cancelled all the licenses for those people who are operating or are manufacturing these alcoholic drinks, mostly the second generation. Because before, what has been happening is that we have maybe we have an activity, maybe the government comes up whereby we work mostly on those who are in retail. But we don't deal with manufacturers. This manic will never be able to manage it. I want to say, right now, I've been in the village maybe for 3 days, and you can now attest that there are people are becoming sober. Our young men are working, and I think these things should be taken seriously, and the issue of substance use should be taken seriously by the government, because when our people don't become productive, this country will not be able to grow. We'll continue spending a lot of resources, mostly on medication. Therefore, I think those who are operating and those who are mostly in the manufacturing business, I think they should also be taxed enough to be able to have enough resources to manage the effects of those who are addicted or those who become addicted on alcohol drinks. Therefore, Madam Speaker, I want to support the report, and I wish to thank the government, and I call upon the government that this should be a serious activity that the government should be able to be part of this agenda, that will be able to, maybe when it comes to 2027, we will be able to audit one of its achievements is management of alcoholic drinks and substance use. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member Honorable Catherine Omanyo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to support this. I'm a member of Special Funds Committee, and we came up with a few observations, especially to the young lads, the lads seated on my left and on my right. Alcohol is no friend to anyone. It can be temporarily something that makes you feel high or temporarily forget some problems. But in the long run, alcohol affects, interferes with your brains. Your communication pathways in the brain gets weaker with time, and it makes it harder for the brain areas to make you control anything. You lose balance, judgment, you lose friends. If you are a husband or wife, you can lose your spouse. At work, you can lose your job. And I condemn or want to refuse certificates or the county government to license poison that kills people. You know, if you are given authority to license something, you license a thing that can make your people grow, your people sustain whatever they are doing. But if you license poison, we read on papers and witness many people dying after consuming alcohol. So to me, if it is a safer thing, then license it. I want this thing to come back to the national level. NACADA to take charge. We used to have an active NACADA office some days back. I do not know how it made its way back to the county level. So the county has enough on their plate to control, but alcohol, I think it should come back to national level. Otherwise, we are going to be breeding children who will never see the light of the day or will never maintain and build our country. The country is going down the brink because of misuse of these licenses being given to anyone. It's corruption. And I want to also support fully the report that Special Funds Committee came up with. That's it, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you. Before the next speaker, allow me to recognize students from Nyimbei Secondary School, from Baringo South constituency, Baringo County, who are seated in the Speaker's Gallery. On my own behalf and the House, welcome to the National Assembly to observe the proceedings of the House. The next chance will go to the member for Kitui West, Honorable Nyenze.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to say that I support this report, and especially on the report on the alcohol and substance abuse and drug abuse. I would say that alcohol has really affected so many people in our country. And why is there so much influence on alcohol and substance abuse, especially amongst the youth. Those ones who are also in the universities, we see them going to the universities and are not even able to complete their education because of peer pressure. There are also other reasons, as even availability of cheap liquor, which is affordable, so they are able to access it and use it, and also influence from their peers. And unemployment has also caused alcohol and substance abuse. And a lot of stress due to this unemployment, a lot of stress due to so many problems which the youth especially are exposed to. So as a country, it's important to really be very careful with the people we license to sell this alcohol. When the licensing was in default to the counties, it's like it has become very easy to get the license. It's very easy for people to just get the license and sell any kind of liquor, cheap liquor, which can be accessed by our youth. So it's important for the government to come up with strict rules on who should be licensed to get to sell alcohol. And what I want to suggest is that alcohol should be banned in all small towns and only have a few big towns licensed to sell alcohol. Because if it's available in even every village, then that means now destroying our country, destroying our future, destroying the youth, because the alcohol is so available, it's so readily available, and the amount you use is so little. So if there will be strict licensing for only a few towns in each county, then this, according to me, will sort some of the problems. So, Madam Speaker, I say that it's also important to also have other activities which would keep the youth busy. When we've been having sports in our kitty, in the NGCDF kitty, and sports have really kept the youth away from alcohol, away from bad influence. They have really kept them busy. But now it has been removed from the kitty, and I'm sure this will have negative effect. So instead of removing sports from NGCDF, I think we should even enhance it and have more money put in this kit, which would keep our youth busy, and this will keep them away from alcohol and bad influence. So my suggestion is that we have sports back in the kitty, license fewer people to sell alcohol, and this would improve the menace which we are seeing, because with the time, if this continues, then we'll have our population reducing in most of the areas. And if the population reduces, that means we are even killing our future. We are even have no leaders for tomorrow. So, Madam Speaker, I support and encourage that we license fewer towns and just few designated areas. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Member for Keyo South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I join the rest of my colleagues in supporting the report of the committee. Madam Speaker, the issue of alcohol has destroyed careers in this country. Alcohol has destroyed families. It has destroyed societies. I thank Our Excellency the President and his deputy for what they are trying to do in trying to eradicate this menace. I also equally thank the Minister for Internal Security, for also what he's trying to do in this space of trying to eradicate the issue of illicit brews. But, Madam Speaker, I look at this issue of alcoholism, and there is an issue with licensing. I remember the days when licensing was done by NACADA, it was much better. But when the issue of licensing was left to counties, when you go back to the village, everybody is given a license. Places where we are not supposed to have bars, you get that bar in the middle of the village is licensed. I would wish that before any license is given out to anybody in the village, that public participation be done in that area, so that the people, the residents who stay in that area can be asked, do you want to have a bar in this area? Because initially, bars were in towns. Nowadays, we have bars in the villages. Almost after 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, you get a bar. So access is very easy to acquire this alcohol. Also, there is the issue of cheap imports from our neighboring, cheap liquor, which are illicit from our neighboring countries. Of course, these are not licensed, but we still get them, which they come through dubious means. So maybe also those who are in charge of the border control, KRA, the people of customs, they should tighten this cheap liquor that come through our border. I take this to my local constituency, that's KO South constituency. I must thank the local administration, the DCC, the chiefs, the sub-chiefs, they're really doing a good work. And as their leader, I will support them. So far, through public participation, they have been able to close some bars in certain areas because the residents of those centers have said, we don't want bars in these centers. I call on the people of KO South that let's support the local administration, let's support our DCCs, our chiefs, our sub-chiefs, our village elders as we try to work together through a whole approach of the society to eradicate the issue of alcoholism. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. There seems to be no more interest on this motion. I will call the mover to reply.
Honorable Speaker, I want to thank all the honorable members who have taken their time to debate on this issue. And most probably, the alcohol, I've seen it's the matter that has been raised severally. And I acknowledge my sister here who has addressed our young future leaders at the gallery there. We are reminding you that alcohol is bad for you. If you see us grown up saying it is bad, it is worse for you. And so we are requesting you, please abstain from alcohol. Honorable Speaker, all the recommendations that were made were done by a full committee, and I recommend my committee that they are always punctual for our meetings. They always contribute fairly to the matters that arise. And I can see a honorable member who is part of our committee acknowledging that. So we are one committee that never misses quorum. We never call for quorum. It is automatic. When there's a meeting, our committee is always seated. I thank them very much for that positive attitude. I also thank our support staff who help us go through all these audit queries. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and I request you to kindly defer putting the question under Pursuit Standing Order 53/3 to another sitting. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The request is assented to. Next order.
Order number 13, motion. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the Land Settlements Fund and the Railway Development Fund.
Chairperson, Special Funds Accounts Committee.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move to this House adopts the audited financial statement of the Land Settlement Fund for the financial year 2020-2021 and 2021-2022. 2, the Railway Development Fund holding account for the financial year 2017-2018 to 2021-2022. Honorable Speaker, the committee received oral and written submission from the following accounting officers: Mr. Nixon Corey, the Principal Secretary, State Department for Lands, and Mr. Mohamed Dagor, the Principal Secretary, State Department Transport. Honorable Speaker, in considering the report, the oral and the written submission received form the basis of the observations, findings, and recommendations of the committee as outlined in this report under each of the audit queries. These are also contained in the minutes and the answered reports of the committee proceedings. Honorable Speaker, during the examination of the audited reports, the committee noted the following general observations: long outstanding receivables from exchange transactions. Honorable Speaker, the committee observed that the land loan and development loan issued to settlers by the Land Settlement Fund as backers of the year 1962 have remained outstanding to date. The fund has outstanding land loans and development loans equivalent to 6,811,916,396 shillings and 68,966,377. The outstanding interest on the loans at 30th June 2022 was at 5,163,149 shillings. Honorable Speaker, the committee recommends that within 6 months upon the adoption of the report, the accounting officer to provide a progress report on the recovery of the principal loan and the outstanding interest receivable to the Auditor General for audit verification. Undisputed land. Honorable Speaker, the committee observed that the land in Kisimanjaro in Nakuru County that was meant for resettlement of the IDPs in 2012 had not been surveyed or subdivided, and therefore the beneficiaries had not settled over 10 years after the purchase of the land due to ongoing court cases which restrained the Land Settlement Fund from interfering with the land parcel. Honorable Speaker, the committee also observed that the delay in the distribution of the land for the informal settlers in Mikanjuni Farm in Kilifi County and Kazandani land in Mombasa County was occasioned by the ongoing planning to cater for the amenities such as access roads and public utility facilities. Madam Speaker, the committee recommends that the accounting officer to fast-track the resolution of the dispute with the county government of Kilifi to bring the matter to a conclusion and settle the IDPs, and within 3 months of the adoption of this report, the accounting officer to provide progress report on the resolution of the dispute to the Auditor General. 2, Madam Speaker, the committee recommends within 6 months of the adoption of this report, the accounting officer to provide a status report on the resettlement of the informal settlers in the Kazda Ndani land to Auditor General for the audit verification. Madam Speaker, the committee observed that a field verification conducted by the Office of the Auditor General during the month of September 2022 sampled land adjudication and settlement officers revealed that stations operated a bank account for funds received for the office administration but did not maintain a cash book. Further, the monthly bank reconciliation statement had not been prepared and submitted to the National Treasury with a copy of the Office of the Auditor General as stipulated under Regulation 90/1 of the Public Finance Management Regulations 2015. Madam Speaker, the committee noted that the accounting officer's submission that all the county land adjudications and settlements officers in charge were instructed by the Office of the Director of Land Adjudication and Settlement to adhere to Regulations 90/1 of the Public Finance Management Act for control, accountability of finances, and smooth, efficient running of office operations. Excuse me. Madam Speaker, The committee recommends that the accounting officer to ensure that proper applicable accounting and financial control systems, standards, laws, and procedures are followed in the preparation of the financial statement in the compliance with the Public Finance Management Act 2012 and in accordance with the standard prescribed by the Public Sector Accounting Standard Board as per the Regulation 101/4 of the Public Finance Management National Government Regulations 2012. Madam Speaker, there was also discrepancies in report receipts. The committee observed that 21,613,549,219 revenue collection by the Railway Development Fund holding account for the financial year 2018-2019 was not supported by analysis of received from Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA. The actual figure for performance of 5,815,007,642 as per the summary of the budget was erroneously posted to the statement of receipt and payment. However, the erroneous figures was replaced with the correct figure of 21,613,544,290. The committee noted that the accounting officer submission that the receipt as per the summary of the budget versus actual performance figure were erroneously posted to the statement and the correct amount was later posted. Madam Speaker, the committee recommends that within 3 months of the adoption of this report, the accounting officer to submit the analysis of KRA receipts, making up the figure of 21,613,544,290 for the total revenue of the fund. And the accounting officer should ensure that all applicable accounting and financial control systems, standard, laws, and procedures are followed in the preparation of the financial statement in accordance with the standard prescribed by the Public Accounting Standard Board and in compliance with Regulation 101/4 of the Public Finance Management National Government Regulations 2015. Madam Speaker, again, I want to commend our committee for always being there when such issues arise. They deliberated well. They did all they could to make sure that the taxpayers' money is well spent, and wherever there was a query, we queried in accordance with the laws and regulations. Madam Speaker, I would request Honorable Beigo to second the motion.
Member for Chesumei.
Madam Speaker, thank you for this opportunity that the chair has given me, and I stand here to actually commend her for steering the committee well, and as she has rightfully put it, we don't have quorum hitches, and that is because she's a chair lady who knows how to chair the meetings and take care of her members, and that is why all the time, whenever we have meetings, we are available. So, Madam Chair, continue with that good leadership and steering the committee. So, I stand to second. Thank you.
Okay, members, I therefore propose the motion that this House adopts the 7th report of the Special Funds Account Committee on its consideration of the reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the Land Settlements Fund for the financial years 2020-2021 and 2021-2022, and the Railway Development Fund holding account for the financial years 2017-2018, 2018-2019, 2019-2020, 2020-2021, and 2021-2022, laid on the table of the House on Thursday, 7th December 2023. There seems to be no interest in this motion, so I will call the mover to reply.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much. Thank you all the members, though you have not contributed. For that reason, I'm requesting, Madam Speaker, that most of the members are out in other committee meetings. I'm requesting you to kindly give us a next opportunity so that we can debate on the matter.
Procedurally, that is not possible, Chair. Just reply. We'll put the question at the right time.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much. Once more, I appreciate all the efforts that have been made by our committee members to bring this report to the House. Madam Speaker, I would like to report that Special Funds Accounts Committee do sit on 94 reports. We have 94 funds that we do inquiries on and oversight. So, Madam Speaker, on behalf of myself and my team, our team, I say thank you to our support staff, our honorable members, and we look forward to bringing more reports to the House that will serve Kenyans and show them their taxpayers' money is being utilized in the right manner. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to move.
Honorable Kagogo, you know, you're confusing the chair. She was replying, and under Standing Order 53, we will defer the putting of the question to the next sitting. Next order.
Order number 14, the National Disaster Risk Management Bill, National Assembly Bill number 24 of 2023, second reading.
Majority Leader? If not in the House, we will step it down. And we have exhausted the business for the morning of Thursday, March 21. So order, members. And the time being 12:15 p.m., this House stands adjourned until today, Thursday, 21st March 2024 at 2:30 p.m.
On KBC Channel 1, we are a TV station like no other. Get a taste of the best in entertainment.
Yes, indeed.
Feel the passion.
Will you promise me?
I swear that you will never lose me. I can't get married to you.
I'm sure you knew about it. That's why you're making fun of me.
Experience the drama.
Get out. Who is the man in this one?
And the laughter. Move to the beat.
We are live from Broadcasting House.
And get informed on the latest happenings. KBC Channel 1.
Wow.
We are the full package.
Oh, yes.
And Kenya's watching.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Started playing guitar when I was 6, and also I started playing puppetry when I was 8. The experience is good, and also I've been to many schools.
My sister inspired me modeling. I was watching him and I said, let me join modeling. I have done 2 songs. But I have one which I've taken the video. And the song is called Unanjua Song.
And our story today comes from this book, The 3 Little Pigs. Are you ready?
Feeling better right now. Feeling better.
The trend that appeals to many homeowners in South Africa is modern farm living, and today's space reflects just that. Monahan Farm, where the vision behind the architecture is respecting the environment and celebrating the scenery. That is something Afrimax can get behind as we bring you today's show. Deep dive with us into this artist as he moves between film and digital, bringing us his view of the world. Matthew Rugamba first hit the international stage with his bow tie phenomenon, but has since then carved out a fashion house that is uniquely his own. And later we check in with activist and YouTube sensation Nozibele Kamgana Mayaba, who turned a dire situation into a positive, and by doing so has inspired many. I am Pamela Mtanga, and you're watching Afrimax. Monahan Farm on the outskirts of Johannesburg is a 1,300-acre space that will only develop 3% of the land. This leaves the rest of the land in its natural state and undisturbed, creating a sense of belonging for homeowners and for a beautiful view of the landscape. But before we move on to the nitty-gritty part of the house and how this farm addresses sustainability, let's visit Kenya to see how one woman's vision enables the detailed work of craftsmen to morph into the latest must-have accessory.
Our bags are Akire. Everything we do is handmade. There's no machine.
Erica Akath, known for her concept store in Nairobi, has since 2020 brought new handcrafted luxury bags onto the market. Wanting to work with leather, she has collaborated with Moses Hekwi, creating the 7 different bespoke handcrafted bags.
I came up with Akire, the handcrafted leather bags, because when I looked at the market, I understood that I wanted to make a bag that will speak
of the African continent without going deeper. I evolved to becoming a designer because I was working with the Turkana women for roughly 2 to 3 years, and I liked the weaving. So the weaving is very different from other parts in Kenya.
Here we are at the workshop. Erica here is with Equi, and this is like a symbiosis relationship where it works perfectly. We work in harmony.
To make the bag, you require materials, the right material. When I get the right material, I come with it. Then I apply the dye. I slice the material. Then I start doing the stitching. When I'm buying this material from the tannery, it's usually this color. And then it comes to me, I try and make it look appealing. I apply the dye. Then it becomes like this. It makes me happy and gives me hope to see that Akire appreciates what I do for her. It makes me want more to improve on this product. This piece of metal is used to smoothen the edges of the material after stitching.
So this is like the finished product, where we'll do the other leather to hold this. Because the beadwork is done by the Maasai people. Then he's going to make the patching, as you have watched earlier. Then we do the stitching, and then it comes to this product. So that is raw, that is almost done. Then you get here. You can see the amuka. This is almost done because the craftsman has cut them, but this process is the most difficult. So we said it takes a lot of days because to do that we have a mold. But to have a mold, we use a sculpturist. So it's a wood sculpturist before we pour this, and then it becomes a mold. Everything is handmade, and you'll understand why it's luxury, because it's somebody's sweat, and everything is to details. The collection for Akire is for everyone, but also at the same time, my bag was created for the people who are cultured, they're awake, and they still want to keep the tradition for themselves. As you can see, it takes roughly 18 days to finish the Amuka collection. Yes.
It's basically a piece of home anywhere I go, and the fact that it's made in Kenya just makes it more worth it, and it's quite interesting and quite African, and I can wear it with anything.
My favorite aspect is the face, right? The face looks like it's going from a traditional aspect of storytelling to the future. That's my most favorite part about it.
Creating these, it's everything. I wake up in the morning, I sleep with it. So it's constantly, not disturbing, but it's constantly in your mind. Like, what will I improve? What am I missing?
Fashion and function, my absolute favorite. And that is what Afrimax is all about. The new generation shaking up what creativity is all about. We traveled to Kigali to visit designer Matthew Rugamba to see what he is all about.
One of the things I'm trying to do right now is to create the dress code for the modern African man.
Matthew Rugamba has changed how many men view fashion in Rwanda. The classic clothing silhouettes that he creates simultaneously reflect on the past and shape the present in fashion.
When I started, the idea was to create that bridge between traditional West formal wear and African formal wear, and trying to translate what is it, what would it look like, because the reality is colonialism was a big part of our history, and it's had an impact into the way we function as societies today. But we also have to sort of create a new image, a new outlook on so many aspects of the way we do things. The whole idea was I was trying to find a bridge between I guess traditional British tailoring and African fashion and traditional wear. And part of the reason I wanted to do that because that is part of my identity. It's part of my upbringing. I was actually born in the UK and I lived there for a couple of years. I also went back after high school to work there during my formative years, and all these experiences sort of build into who I am today. So this is one of our newer shirts. We thought that we wanted to have something that was a bit subtle, so no loud prints, but what we wanted to do was to make it a bit richer by adding some embroidered details.
But Matthew Rugamba is not only known for his elegance and excellence in tailoring, but also his bow tie phenomenon.